Hello everyone, in today's chess video we'll be talking about another exciting opening for black, which is the Petrov Defense. So today's video is sponsored by chess.com. You can join by clicking the link in the description where you can buy the premium and golden rated courses from chess.com at discounted rates. So let's get down to our board and let's head toward our main video. So the Petrov defense, also spelled as Petrov and alternatively called the Russian game, Petrov defense or simply the Petrov, is one of black's most solid options against e4. So today we are talking about another opening which starts with e4 and you have to respond with e5. On move 2, black responds to an attack on e5 pawn by counterattacking the pawn on e4 with the knight. This often leads to a trade of pawns on the e file. So in the next move, white plays knight to f3, attacking the pawn at e5, and the next move is knight to f6, counterattacking the pawn at the e4 pawn. Although often considered a dry position for this reason among others, in the last several years players like Fabiano have shown it has much more bite than previously thought. That said, it remains a less dynamic opening than many others. So at this stage, when counterattacking this pawn, the black, here the main variations of the game starts. So the main independent lines of the Petrov are like this: knight to e5. At this stage, what if black can take knight to e5, a pawn at e5, and now the game starts. Either way, if white does not take the pawn, he can just respond with d4. So now we are in a Petrov defense 10-inch attack. So, or either way, the black can respond with knight to c3. So now we are in a 3 knights game, which might transport into a 4 knight game in the next coming move, because black can just simply develop another knight. So now we are in the Petrov defense. So you should know the pros and cons and why you should and why you shouldn't use this opening. So as where I'm concerned, I think you should use it because black develops rapidly at the first stage. You think that the white is gaining advantage, but later on in the game the black develops rapidly its pieces. So it's a very sound opening and you should use it, and it's a solid defense against black's move. So there comes some also drawbacks of this, which is in the opening positions that results white has slightly development leads. You can see that the white has some advantage over black. So white can reach some dry position, and in the future it can just reach to some, and if the white player is aggressive, then he can gain some extra advantage. So there is some also a lot of theory and stuff in Petrov defense which not everyone can just master, but you can just try. So the next topic today we will be talking about the key variations. As you know, the chess has unlimited variations. Any opening can be played in millions of times. So today we will be talking about so first of all we will talk about the classical opening. So the classical opening starts with, so first you have to play e4, white plays e5, black plays e5, knight to f6, knight to f3, and knight to f6. What if in the third move black takes the pawn at e5? So now we are in now this is called the Petrov Defense classical variation, and at this stage black can just simply attack either with the pawn, so white has to protect its uh, pawn, its knight at e5, or either black can just simply attack or take, and why black has not just good moves, so white has to take back its moves. And when the white takes back its move, you can see that white does not have, this pawn is not protected, so black can just simply take this pawn. And the next move is pawn to d4. Now the pawn to d4, and now black can just simply forward its pawn, and now as you can see this pawn is protecting this knight, and now this knight is in completely aggressive position. So at this stage white can just simply play bishop to d3 and be ready to castle. And at this stage black has many options. Black can either play knight to c6, or instead of knight to c6 black can just simply play bishop to d6. So this was the classical variation. In this both sides develop quickly, and strategic play usually ensures. So this was our classical variation, which starts by when the knight takes the pawn at e5. So this was the classic variation. So there is another variation we will be talking about in Petrov Defense, which is the Nimzowitsch attack. In recent year white has started playing knight to c3. So at this stage, instead of taking pawn, white has started to play knight to c3. White takes the pawn, and black moves his pawn to d6, and when the white takes his pawn back, black takes, and instead of making some random attack on the knight, black attacks this knight with the knight, trying to exchange the knight, and transposes the game into the three-line variation Nimzowitsch attack. So what you can do against Nimzowitsch attack? So either black has two options. He can just simply trade the knight for a knight, or he can just keep this knight, stay at this position, and he can just simply develop a bishop to f5. So what does the bishop to f5 does is protect the knight, and now black cannot just simply attack it. And if white goes to exchange it, the white can simply trade this knight, and in the next move, let's just say white plays this, and now you can see that this bishop is pinned by the knight through this queen. So you have to protect this, you have to move this pawn further, or you can just counter attack with the queen, which I don't recommend because white can just pin your queen. So now white played at this stage, let's just say when let's take the moves back. At this stage, instead of white didn't take the knight, and white moved his queen to e2 and and black also moved the queen to the position, and at this stage white has some complete dangerous move, which is knight to d5, attacking this pawn at c7 and the queen at uh, e7. So this is here the game begins. Here in the next move, white can just simply black has to take back its queen, so the white cannot just pin its bishop and its rook at the same time. So this was the Nimzowitsch variation of the Petrov defense. So I think, and there are some many sidelines and traps of the Petrov defense, so which we are going to discuss today. So it is tempting for less experienced player to try to retain symmetry with the third move, knight takes e4. So instead of third, many players just take the pawn instead of d6. When the white takes, instead of making the move at d5, black knight takes. What if knight takes e4 instead of d6? But this move loses at least a pawn, and often more than it is the black isn't careful, because in the next move white can just pin your knight at this with the queen, and you have to move your queen to block it and try to move further in the game. So if the black plays like this, you can simply take its queen, its king and its knight and try to defend the knight. So at this stage, if white cannot move its knight, because the knight is protecting the queen, because otherwise it will be a pin, and the black can in the next move take the queen. So at this stage, white player take the queen, and you can just simply play the d6 pawn attacking this knight. So which the black has to move this pawn, and let's just say black takes, you take it back, and now the game is in complete control. So this is called the classical Damiano variation or Kolmogorov variation. So the sideline of Petrov defense that has become popular in online blitz in recent times in the Stanford Gambit, which is where play knight to 6 move is played. Here this knight 6 is played on the move 3. More information about the Stanford Gambit will be given to you in upcoming videos. So now today in the next move we'll be discussing another game. Is it's a trap which is also the fifth move which you can play, and which is playable by white. So black takes, and now you move your queen to e2. So now you have pinned the bishop. So but it leads to a draw in 4 out of every 5 master level games if you play queen to e2. So in most situations white is playing for some kind of advantage in the opening, which this move does not achieve. But in if white only needs a draw, this move can be useful. So you should know that you have most players who play the queen to e2, usually this games end into a draw. So this was the Petrov defense, where you can use this against a white, and in the next coming videos we'll bring more games where we'll be talking about the games and how you can play and win, and we'll analyze more games. So today it was just a lesson for the Petrov defense, and we'll be analyzing some more videos soon. So this was all for today. I hope you liked the video, and make sure to like and subscribe. And today's video was sponsored by chess.com, which you can find and join their courses at the discounted rate. So thank you so much, and hope to see you in the next video.